are the recordings of these meetings, which we've had once each month since the beginning of the invasion. These recordings are available on ukraineflags.org/webinars. We have the last 4 conversations, and hopefully, if we get it right, we'll have this conversation as well posted up to the website soon. So we just got a weather check to hear that, yeah, you folks in Ukraine are seeing plenty of warm weather, just as we are on this side of the world. But I have a feeling there's a lot to catch up on, and I'll just repeat what Will said earlier, that if you have questions that you want to raise, go ahead and put them into the chat. But I have a few questions prepared that Yvonne has seen ahead of time, so we should be prepared for those. But in the meantime, if you have other questions, go ahead and put them in the chat. If you want to make a comment, there's a little hand symbol within your window, usually at the bottom of the window. And if you click on that, it'll raise your hand, and both Will and I will know that you're trying to get a word in edgewise here. So feel free to do either of those. So I wanted to start out with a question to Yvonne, where I remember when the invasion began, how you didn't really anticipate a multi-year war at that time. I'm wondering how your perception has changed since the beginning of the war, and have things been very much different than you hoped or thought they would be at this point?
Thank you, Michael. Just a quick test of my new microphone. Can you hear me well?
Yes, a little bit of echo, but let's see how that works.
Yeah, sorry, we're in a big meeting room. Yeah, if it continues, I can switch to my AirPods. So returning to your question, it was somehow similar. Like, we started with COVID. Everyone said it will be finished in a couple of first weeks and then months, and no one believed it can last for like a year or two. Something similar was with the war. I was hoping it could end faster. I was hoping for a world wouldn't allow this, huge war to happen in Europe. But I was mistaken, as many people, and I guess we kind of overestimated the capabilities of the civilized world towards the evil axis of this world. And this is something that you always talk to your older grannies or parents, and they're normally more paranoid than you. They always say, no one, trust no one, be on your own, and you always say, no, granny, but it's like world has changed, and people are together. And now we are turning into that type of people ourselves. So it's kind of the world is not that there is no police that will stop someone doing crazy things, and it's very, very sad about that. So you can have this big evil that's destroying, killing, exploding dams and probably nuclear plants sometime in the future, and there's absolutely nothing no one can do, and that's very, very sad. So keeping that in mind, it's now obvious that the war is not going to end soon, not this year, hopefully next year. Yeah, we don't have much choice as to continue fighting. For us, it's still very simple. For us, it's still very straightforward. For us, it's still, we know from history, yeah, we can stop war, we can give up some territory, sign something, but there is still no obvious mechanism how this will not happen again in a few years. Because it's obvious that Russia did not come for 2 regions of Ukraine, did not come for 3 regions of Ukraine. Russia is coming for the whole Ukraine, and maybe even some part of other countries like Poland, Moldova, Baltic states, and this is very, very obvious from all their rhetorics. So it's not the challenging task to stop it right now and stop killings. The biggest question is how stop it so it doesn't spread in 4 years, in 5 years, when they rebuild, when they infiltrate more assets in Western countries, and will be more prepared, and will be, West might be divided at some moment in the future because of some global issue or whatever. So that's the major challenge. But yeah, maybe my colleagues Irina or Mariana wanna add something. So Mariana is head of recruitment in my company. Irina is head of business development and partnership. So I brought 2 new people to this call. Yes, please go ahead.
Very good.
Yeah, sure. Hi, everyone. Answering your question, Michael, I can only agree to Ivan's words that with every month of this horrid war, our perception changes. First, we thought it will be like for, I don't know, for a few weeks or a few months. Then we started to understand that it will take more time. And for example, on the beginning of this year, when it was like a New Year's celebration, like so-called celebration during the war, and when everyone was wishing victory for Ukraine for this year, it was like I did have this anticipation that this war has chances to end till the end of this year, like till 2024. But with every month, I think that it changes, because usually turning point for me is approximately in summer, because it's like half of a year passes, and then you understand that what is done and what has to be done, and you can like make some prognosis about what is going to happen. So this summer shows that this war will take, I don't know, maybe another year, and we need like more help. We need more support. So the perception changes like from time to time, and every time it can be like a little bit emotional from time to time. But that's like our new reality, and we get adapted to it. So that's it.
Thank you. Aranya, before you answer, Susan, you have your hand up. Was there something?
I was only going to ask that we be introduced to Ivan's colleagues, which has since happened. So we're good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm really happy to be present on this call and to have this chance to share, because it's something that we experience every day, but it's a great opportunity also to share with the world how it's going. And I would say that I share the feelings that Ivan and Mariana has shared today, because I also feel like that. Like on the one hand, you feel like it should end very, very soon, but on the other hand, you look at the news and you look how slowly it is progressing, and you notice even from yourself that you're kind of getting used to that, which is very weird to be getting used to such atrocities which are happening. And but still, we are following the news. Every morning starts from reading the updates, what is happening in the news. And so this recent NATO summit, they updated that the planes, right? They will be provided to Ukraine in the March next year. So I guess it should speed up, the war and the consequences of it. And I hope it will end sooner with this help that is coming. But still, till to spring next year, still a lot of time remaining. So we will see how it goes. But definitely, everyone is awaiting this victory very much in Ukraine. And it's very interesting even to follow how your perception emotionally changes, because I really remember how we felt at the beginning, how I felt. It was fear, anxiety, and like I was really stressed. But now, like all the Ukrainians, we're just angry, and every time we get, we get the attack, we're just like donating more, and this is the response. No more like fear or anxiety as it was at the beginning. So I think this like emotional journey is something that is very vivid, which happened so far.
Oh, thank you. And I just wanted to react to Ivan's comment about how the grandparents and older folks feel. And I think when, the invasion started, Sal and myself and probably many of the people on this call had great trepidation, because we lived through the era of the Vietnam War, which is more akin to what you're experiencing. This very a long ground war, not like things we have seen in the Middle East more recently. So, that's why we had such trepidation over this. So I'm wondering, we've heard the news as well, the bombings in Odessa and the grain ports, but I'm wondering if there's been any significant changes for you in your personal lives, especially over the last few weeks as the war has escalated and these attacks have escalated. Shall we go in the same order again for answers? Ivan?
So I returned from Canada last week, so 1 week here in Lviv. I was on a business trip for almost like a month in Canada, in Toronto. And I returned like a week ago, and since then there was no air raid sirens here for the whole week. So I'm fine. I mean, like that's what we have right now. We have heavy bombing in Odessa these days. The grain deal is over, so Russia started destroying these grain depots with millions of tons of grain. They normally located at the ports, but we don't feel it. Like we get this news that every day something's burning in Odessa. But as Irina said, you no longer react to this news. You cannot be emotional. Like nothing falling on my head. I'm like 500 miles from Odessa, so we continue our lives. We work, we make money, we donate, we buy stuff, try to destroy as many enemies as we can and support as many soldiers as we can with the equipment for this task. But we don't get too emotional. When I was in Canada, they bombed Lviv. So you might heard news they bombed a couple of bombs fall in a residential area, and they destroyed a restaurant where I was celebrating my wedding with my wife like 5 years ago or whatever it was, and it was in this restaurant. So it was a bit emotional for us because we were at this restaurant celebrating our wedding, and the bomb hit in it's an apartment block, and the restaurant was like on the first floor. 10 people died. It was during the night, so people from the residents of that building died because it was during the night. So it was kind of emotional because it's our city. It's not far away from where I live, and one rocket hit in that old UNESCO heritage building. It's like four stories building. So it was kind of a bit emotional, and but as I said, it's very, very scary how people don't react anymore to deaths, to funerals, to all this stuff. It's just part of our life. We talk about that openly, and we share videos of how drones that we buy kill Russians every day, and there is no like sensitive content marks or whatever, just part of our life. So you just kind of get I don't know how to say. You just get
hardened to it.
In this protection, in this mental protection bubble that you don't take it too painfully. I'm sure it will kind of reappear years from now, as some kind of mental issues for some people. But yeah.
And your colleagues?
Yeah, I would say that I share like the same feeling as Ivan says, because like every time something happening in the place you have been to, it's very, very different than like in the place that you haven't been. It was like very emotional for me, like from Odessa perspective, because I have been to these places and I have like been there when they were not destroyed, and now like they are destroyed. Like, and seeing that is like very painful. But it's weird to say, but for example, like we had like also massive attacks in Kremenchuk and a lot of places in the east, and where I haven't been before, and I didn't have like friends who live in these places, it was a bit different emotionally than if I have been present myself in these places. So I say that like it triggers you much more. And like a lot of my friends in Lviv, it was really hard emotionally to work during this day, like next day, because like we didn't sleep at night, because like even in my building that we live in at night, we heard their noise, and before that, like everything was like shining, like even through their, I mean, drapers. So like yeah, we could see it, we could like hear this, and my house was vibrating, so it was scary. And my son is 7, so it's also like emotionally sometimes hard to be really calm and like yeah, and also like not to like share these emotions with him, because like he really understands everything. So you need also to find ways how to communicate it properly, because it really affects the life that we are having. But at the same time, yeah, I would say that we continue living this event, this half marathon that it was happening in Lviv. It was just like a week later after the attack we had. And also we had such a beautiful event, like corporate party fair, when we were organizing on Thursday, which was like really amazing time when we got together with all the teammates. Everyone was preparing some like sweets or cookies, and everyone was kind of like donating. So we were gathering money to support people. Yeah, charity event. So yeah, everything is like happening at the same time. So like at the same time we have like these bondings, but we continue living and having a lot of like nice events which are happening. Even the concerts, like 2 weeks ago we were on Circus du Soleil with my son, which is like crazy. So they were able to invite, and people like from Italy were coming to bring fun and emotions to kids and people here, like even though there are obviously some risks, but the city lives.
Very nice.
And that's something I want to add, because I mentioned to this a couple of times. Sorry, Mariana, I guess you were about to say that when we have like when Western people see these images, you might assume that everything is burning every day, but it's more like, even in Odessa is a big city. It's like 2 million people, so like 1.5 million, I don't know, like big city. And yeah, they have these rocket attacks, and there might be like 30 rockets they shoot every night. It's big rockets. It's some of these rockets Soviets designed for destroying air carriers. So these huge ships where jets fly off. So it's big ships, and you can imagine what size of rocket has to be to destroy these ships, right? And they shoot like 20, 30 per night, and maybe like 70% of that is intercepted by our air defense. But it's very hard to intercept the rockets on the coast city when we don't have air support, when we don't have modern jets. Because when we have Lviv, we have land, we have multiple layers of air defense. So there is one air defense like 10 kilometers from us, 50 kilometers from us, 200 kilometers from us. So they're like bubbles, right? And everything that reaches to us or to Kiev, it goes through multiple levels of air defense. If you have Odessa, it's on the coast. So they shoot something, it goes through the Black Sea, and there is city right away. So they have some air defense at, on the beach or whatever they can call it, but it's already the rockets being intercepted right at the city. You cannot intercept them like 50 kilometers, 100 kilometers, because it's a coast area. So that's why in Kiev, they reached almost to like 100% interception rate with all the air defense that we have. It's not possible in a coast city, because you cannot have these layers of, you know, like a couple of and even then, like they shoot like 20, 30 rockets a day or a night, and 70% being intercepted, and the rest just fall in some buildings. But that's like 5, 7 rockets a night, and it's maybe destroys, you know, like 3 buildings, 2 buildings, some warehouse, some grain depot, maybe, you know, a few people die. But it's not stopping 2 million people city. It's not like bombing London, where they were like dropping hundreds of bombs at night. So you have, it's like scary, it's killing people, it's destroying infrastructure, but it's not enough power to stop the life in the city. It's not enough to kind of disrupt you know, day-to-day activities, office work, markets, supermarkets, trade centers, like everything is working. I guess what is this like interfering is air raids, because most of the businesses, they have to shut down and people have to go in basements, and you might have air raids 5 times a day. Maybe they're not shooting something, but they just go up in the sky with a jet that can shoot these hypersonic rockets, Kinzhals, and the whole Ukraine just gets air raid, because when they shoot the rocket, it's 10 minutes to hit whenever part of the country. So every time this jet goes up, the whole country is air raid. And it means if you have kids in school, you get called, go pick up kids. If you're in the middle of Barbie movie, which we also have, and Oppenheimer and all that stuff, you have to go and run in the base. So all this air raid, it's kind of disturbing us much more, because it happens 10 times more than actually something actually hitting the city. So I mean, this nerve is present in all this constant threat that you know you have to hide all the time. Like civilians no longer hiding, but businesses have to hide, because if your supermarket, if you don't shut down during the air raid and it hits in the supermarket and kills people, you know, the CEO of the supermarket will go to jail, right? All the government institutions like hospitals, they have to shut down at the air raid. So this kind of air raid is much more disturbing than actually a couple of rockets hitting here and there. And that's pure terrorizing, because they do this, they know that we trigger to these hypersonic rockets, so they just fly these flights without rockets or without shooting them like 10 times a day. And in some regions, there's like air raids all the time. So that, you know, just to give you the context that it's not like everything is burning and people don't have food, or, you know, I came from Canada. There is still some stuff I can buy faster here than in Canada, even having like Amazon Prime or whatever in Canada. There's still a lot of stuff I can order here that will travel during the night and be in my place. So like everything is working. It just this constant nerve that you have, you know, that you're not sure if you're going to be alive by the end of the week, but you continue living, right? So
that's very, very interesting. Very, very interesting insight. And so, Mariana, did you want to tell us a little bit about how things have been affecting your life? Mariana?
Yeah. My situation is a bit similar to Ira's and Ivan's. I also have this emotional block to all those horrid events. Of course, when it happens in Lviv and when you can literally hear the explosions at night, it's difficult. But still, I think that this emotional block helps us to not fall into some despair or something, and to live our casual lives and to work and donate, as Ira mentioned. And also, I wanted to add that one more thing that helps us, besides of this like emotional mechanism of our psychic, it's also humor, because I don't know if you heard of that Ukrainian humor, like during the war, it can be more harsh. Because we live in some I don't know, not the luckiest circumstances. And our humor is like, wow, for example, I have friends in the armed forces of Ukraine, and they usually say like, oh, Mariana, did you hear like explosions last night? And I answer like, yeah, it was like awful, many explosions. And they can add, oh, if you hear explosions or if you hear a missile, then it's not your missile. You can be like, stay calm because it's not your missile. When it's yours, you can hear nothing. So yeah, that's kind of example of our Ukrainian humor these days.
Dark humor, yes.
Yeah.
So I had another question about, I'm afraid that history might judge the support from the West, specifically delivery of air defense and longer range artillery, as being too slow and cautious about potential escalation of the conflict directly with Russia. I'm wondering how you think the Western response will be viewed through the lens of history.
I think it all depends how it will end. If eventually we win this war, like in 4 years, no one will remember, how fast the supply was, how decisive Western leaders. It's like everyone is remembering the score, and no one is remember how the game was played and who was playing good or bad, right? In history. So if you remember someone become a champion, you have a record, you don't remember how they actually play. The same here. So there is a lot of discussion. So it's obvious that U.S. is being careful with arms supply, and there is a lot of explanations from the U.S. side why it happens in this way. And there is a lot of Russian disinformation that tries to make this sound like, hey, US doesn't care about Europe, they just sell arms. And there is lots of investment from Russian side in this propaganda message that Biden wants something, or US wants something, not winning the war, or not defeating Russia, but they want some like continuous war for 10 years. Whatever. So it's really hard right now to judge where exactly is the truth and where exactly is the manipulation. But many people here are falling for this manipulation, and they say, yeah, but you took out our nukes 20 years ago, so you could give us a bit more right now. You can give us a bit faster right now, not wait, so we killed 50,000 Russian soldiers. We unlocked HIMARS. We killed 100,000 soldiers. We unlocked something else. We killed like 200,000 Russians. We unlocked tanks. And now everyone is like making joke that we need to kill like 300,000 Russians to unlock the long-range rockets. And there is a lot of, like no one knows how it is, what actually is the correct message and where is the Russian propaganda, because they really exploit this subject very, very heavily. They want to, like make Europeans think that US playing some other game rather than finishing this war, because, for US, this war is not, like threat, it's not security threat as it is, let's say, for EU. So there is a lot of crazy stuff. So I don't know how it will be judged, but I think, if we eventually win, we will see all of that as a very positive, and allies helped. If it doesn't lead anywhere, then of course it will be judged as a weak position of West, and like it is right now with the Obama administration, that everyone is discussing that letting go with Crimea and not doing harsh sanctions from the Obama and from the European leaders at that time, it was a weak move that Putin used, and Putin escalated more. So Western leaders at that time showed weakness. They didn't show a strong steps. And now we have phase number 2, which is more expensive for everyone, not just for Ukrainians, but for Western countries. It's more expensive in terms of money. And if it's again going to be weak response, there will be phase number 3, maybe in 10 years. So that's, history repeats. So yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know if I answered the question or not.
Yes, I think you did. I just wanted to mention that Sal is traveling in Norway today, and in a little while she wants to give a little perspective of what people are, what the perspective is from that corner of the world as well. But I have one other question that I'd like to present to each of you there, and it's really, what are now the most important things that you would want people in the USA to know about? Could be about personal life. It could be about, what more can be done to help support your defense efforts there.
I would ask Irina and Mariana to start, and I will finish.
I would say that's like my main message would be to continue support, because we could all see that everyone is getting tired. We're in Ukraine, we are getting tired of this. And I can't imagine how much you guys like outside are also getting tired of this news and all this war and all this like atrocious like images. And like normally when you are not so much in the topic, you like personally, I couldn't understand how much investment, how much money the war costs. It was such a surprise for me because my friend is one of the founders of charity organization who is buying ammunition, all this stuff, like helmets, Starlings, EcoFlows, and all this stuff for brigades on the front line. And before I had immersed myself there, I was like, okay, I'm donating. So they have bought the stuff and they have the stuff, right? It's kind of, there is a logic behind that. So you have donated and there should be stuff there. But I could see that so much, so many times when you were like donating and collecting money for this pickup, like everyone was like, yeah, donated, and they like managed to buy a pickup in 3 days. And yeah, everyone is really happy. And this pickup is going to the front line. And then in the evening, you get the message that it was destroyed. And you're like, no pickup. So, okay, you collected like $5,000 and nothing. Okay, it saved like 10 lives of people there. And it's like, we are so much grateful for that. But the pickup is no more there. And the same happens with all the drones. Drones are super expensive. But sometimes this drone lives only for like a few hours. So it is coming there, prepares the operation, it has done its work, but then it's just shot. And no more drone. And you can't use it. You can't repair that because it's just ashes from that. And it was very like difficult for me to understand first, because I was like also having this mindset. When the war started, we had some savings because we bought the apartment and we wanted to start the renovation. And so we like first few days, so like we donated like $5,000 like right away. And we were like, yeah, we did good job. So, but I mean, I really understand that like this donation was used and probably was out there for maybe 2 days, and that's it, only one brigade. And I think that this is something that people in the West are missing, that it is very expensive. And like we want to donate. I think like Ukrainians are the ones who donate the most, because like we donate all the time. So the most like message, the biggest one is first of all, it's not that like one time you have bought, you donated, and it's like there forever. It is like constantly needs support and help because it is damaged all the time. And the second message is like, help us to donate more, because what we keep seeing is just like really crazy stuff. For example, my mother-in-law, she can't find work since the war started because she was in the entertainment industry. So she lost her work. And now, since there was like this myth that, okay, IT is the only industry that is like working now, she started learning QA. And it's like really crazy because she's 55 and like she's ready to start over. But what is the main like challenge what we are seeing here is like we can see people in their 20s, 40s, 50s are coming into the industry. But for example, we and Ivan, we are in business development, like responsible for new opportunities. And the number of these opportunities is not growing. And people like who are like seeking opportunities, ready to learn, they are ready to change completely their career, to start over, and they want to work, but they cannot find the opportunity. So I think that it like would be my second message, that like support us to support us. So we want to donate, we want to work, we want to do like help our country ourselves, but it would be so much easier if we have like outside opportunity that people will be ready working with us.
That's really important context. Yes, thank you for that. It's it's interesting and important context that for us being so far away, it's easy to overlook. Thank you for that. Mariana, did you have something?
Yeah, when I heard the question, the first thought of mine was I'd like people from the US and people from all the countries that help us, that support us. I'd like them to know that we are really thankful for that support, because you know, the very thought that we could have like turned back to the Soviet Union like the last year, it's like, wow, I don't want to live in this world, you know. So that is why we appreciate this support of the world, because even though I wasn't like born in the Soviet Union, I was born in the independent Ukraine. Still, I know the stories about it from history books, from the stories of my mom, of my dad, who was in that Soviet army, and he knows what is it. I know the stories of my granny and of my granddad, about those stories that they changed my surname even because it didn't sound like Russian one, and they wanted to end our generation by this method of changing our surname. So I know all those stories, and I couldn't imagine like going back in time and again to live in that Soviet Union. So all this support, it means a lot to me, because it means that I can live in the independent Ukraine, and I see that this Ukraine, my Ukraine, it has a lot of chances to develop, to be a brilliant country, and I can like be a part of a great business here, and I can build my family here and raise my children. So I'd like to live here, and with Russia, it's not possible. So that is why I'd like those people to know that we are thankful for their help. That's like the main thing. And also one more thought was that I'm not sure if people from other countries, if they know that actually almost every Ukrainian is fighting, like because the way they can, of course, because someone supports like their business, and someone can donate a lot, and someone can like help the army. Some of them can like literally fight, or some of them, I don't know, can go abroad and flee the war, because that's their choice, and that's okay. And they can like, I don't know, they can spread the word about Ukraine there abroad. So I think that every Ukrainian is fighting, and I want the world to know that their support is like vitally important for us, and it helps us to fight and not to lose our hope for this victory.
Thank you.
I just want to add from my side, just maybe a small addition to what Irina said about the equipment being destroyed. So it was also a big shock for me, because we as a business, we donate all our profits to different projects, and also as part of my salary, I donated too. So we always buy these drones, and one drone is like $3,000-5,000. And I have a friend in armed forces. I was buying him a lot of sniper equipment. So he is a sniper, and this is just one of the packages. So I don't know if you can see my screen. It's like 15K, just couple of scopes, and then a week later he sends me a photo. He was under artillery shock. It didn't kill him, but the wave destroyed the scope completely, and there was some part that damaged his gun. And this kind of like you get is all information all the time. So you buy some this kind of trucks. Pickup truck is very handy for them. It's not normally used on the front line because it's not armored, but it's used, like 10, 20, 30 kilometers from front line to move people, to move some stuff, and but it still can be easily attacked by Russian artillery. We also bought them this small van to move around. So there's like, and all of that, it leaves just, this is some equipment. So one of these scopes is a sniper scope, is like $7,000. This small one maybe like $1,500. And drones being destroyed, like few times it flies over and destroyed. But the important part is that if you don't have this drone, it means you have to send a guy to check around, and a lot of these guys died. So I mean, drone saves life. Even if it serves for one day, it means it saved one soldier today. And this is something we have to continue doing, because Russia is bigger, they have more people, and they don't care about people because they're totalitarian country. They can, like manipulate better, and they can get more people in the army. And we cannot lose that proportion of people that they can. So that's why we have to be more technological, and we have to lose equipment instead of losing people. And this is very important, that, yeah, we are losing a lot of stuff, and a lot of donations that we do, we understand it will not survive till the end of the week, but it will save someone's life, right? The drone, its eyes, people can see what's in front of them. Small drone can scan like small area, but still you see who is there, how many, what guns they have, what capability enemy has. So this is all very, very important, even though it's being destroyed. And the attrition rate of the equipment is massive. So you buy this stuff for tens of thousands of dollars, and it's just being destroyed, and it's just kind of one unit statistics. What I want to add from my side, so that was my remark on the Irina's comment. What I want to add from my side, what I want you guys to understand and maybe share with your network is, yeah, of course, we need this support, but very important to understand there is a lot of speculation on the Western side about the peace talk and how US or Boris Johnson or whoever is not allowing us to have a peace talk. There is no new propaganda message this on air for the last couple of months that Ukraine was ready to do a peace talk, and then Boris Johnson came over and said us, no, don't do a peace talk, we will help you win this war. And this started like a few months ago, and I see it's full-scale propaganda in all Western channels. So I just want to give you, like very clear idea. This is not war for us for some US money or something like that. We're losing lots of people, and we are not losing these people because we want some mystical EU or NATO, or this is just instrument for us, like EU or NATO is just instrument for long-term protection. But we are fighting this war, and we are not giving up, and we are not signing any half-baked peace agreement with Putin, because we know that he cannot be trusted. So signing something with person that you already know cannot be trusted is just nothing. It will give everyone the fake understanding that this is some peace now, but it means we will not be ready to rebuild. We will have to invest billions and billions in more defense, because we know it will continue 5 years from now, 10 years from now. And why we're fighting? As I said, it's very easy to stop the war. We just say, okay, we give up Crimea and Donbass, leave us alone, and Russia would accept that because they see they are losing, so they need a pause. But the problem is, it's not going to end. So this is genocidal war. It did not started on February 22. It started like decades before, when they started the massive propaganda, first on their people, then on the Western media. So they repeat this message every day that Ukrainians need to be, they don't call it exterminated, but they say they need to be taught to be Russian again. So they need to be taught. They say we are Russian, we just forget we are Russian, so they need to come to us and they need to reschool us. And they were repeating this message for years. And this message is within every Russian person in their head. And it cannot be signed as, okay, we leave them alone and we forget about that, so we just sign a treaty. They have this in their head, and it will continue until either of us is destroyed or is finished. And why we are losing? So we are losing lots of people, and we have 1 million people in our army, and we are 40 million people country. So if you know 40 people, someone is in army. So someone here knows someone that already died. Someone here knows someone that already lost health or lost, close relative, and a lot of terrible stuff. So we know these people firsthand. There are like someone from our network already died in this war, and we continue fighting because of very simple reason. We know when Russia is occupying Ukraine, more people will die silently in basements. No one will know it. Hand tied behind you, much more people will die. This happened before. This happened before in our history. It happened in other states that Russia was occupying. It's not just Ukrainian unique story. That's how Russia behaved. They will sign something with you. They will keep the occupied territory. They will kill all the Ukrainian language teachers, Ukrainian literature teachers, Ukrainian history teacher. If you're a math teacher, you can survive. If you're a physics teacher, you can survive. But if you're a history teacher, you will be killed first in the basement, and they will kill much more people than are dying in this war. And this is one simple reason that we all know, because we have very long history with Russia. This history is longer than United States. It started like 7 centuries before, and continues and continues. And this method, it's not changing in Russia. And you talk to Poles, you talk to Baltic countries, you talk to Romanians, they all know this history, because Russia did not change since their Russian Empire. And this is very strong motive for us not sign any half-baked, any kind of half measures with them, because it's just not going to work. It will make the illusion for the West that the problem is resolved. So all the eyes will be from us, all the support will disappear, but the problem will not disappear. And Russian imperialist propaganda and their ideas not going to disappear of that. And this is very, very big thing that a lot of Westerners, they don't understand. They think this is about US military want to sell more weapons, or Biden's want to have some points on the election. But this story is not about US. It's much bigger and much older. And it's, a lot of people in US want to feel like they always play central role in whatever happens in planet Earth. It's not. So definitely there are some people in US that want to benefit from the situation or make some points, but it's not a central line. It's not something that's driving this war. It's not something that can stop this war. So I just want you to make our logic clear, because we are losing a lot of people, and we are still willing to fight, and we're still willing to die, and we're still willing to lose our legs and eyes and other parts of our body and our health, because we understand that I understand if I'm under occupation, you know, they check my Facebook, they check my chats, I'm going to be one of the first that will be executed, right? And there are many people like that, because when you posted something funny about Russia or Putin, when you posted Ukrainian flag in your Facebook avatar, whatever, you are in a list. They have this list, and they use this list in Bucha, in Izum, in occupied cities that were liberated. There was this list, people posting something pro-Ukrainian on Facebook, they were executed in the basement. There are lots of evidence like that. And it will continue on all occupied territories that they have. And if they get more land, it will continue on this land. So, you know, despite the huge price we pay, we understand that losing this war is much, much bigger price, long-term, generations ahead. So that's a very, very strong motivation for us, and it has nothing to do with some people saying that U.S. will make some money and military complex of U.S. want to make some money. They're making some money probably, but it's not the central line that defines these events. The central lines are Ukrainians that are willing to die and continue dying for their freedom.
That's incredibly sobering. We thank you for that insight, and it's a lesson we all need to hear and share for sure. Just before we see if we can get a report from Sal in Norway, I just want to mention again that this webinar is being recorded and should get posted up to www.ukraineflags.org/webinars, ukraineflags.org/webinars. And let's see if Sal has any kind of connection going.
We're in a coffee shop in Norway, and so there may be a lot of background sound, and we apologize.
I think you're muted.
No,
No, you're good. We hear you.
I'm muted on this one. Ivan, some of us, most of us know it's genocide that's going on. We have followed the history of your country from the Viking days, and we're in Scandinavia right now. But we first started in Germany, and when we were in Germany, we met 2 Ukrainian women. So we were able to talk to them about their leaving Ukraine and their life in Germany, and it was very enlightening to hear their story. We also met some Italians while we were in Germany, and seriously, I want to be really sharing how much the Scandinavians and Europeans we've met are in support of Ukraine. The Germans that we spoke with, and almost every single person I talk to, I say, I want to talk to you about Ukraine. And they kind of like, okay, we'll talk about Ukraine. The Germans were a little embarrassed. They said at first all we did was give like helmets and uniforms, and that wasn't really going to help Ukraine. We should have been giving them arms and tanks. So they were kind of apologetic about their slow response, and they recognized it. And they are trying, these are just people, not military people, just people. Then we went to Sweden, and you know, Americans are kind of insular in that we're very ethnocentric about America and how great America is, which, by the way, Europe's really nice. And lifestyle in Europe is much different. Thank you. The Scandinavians, I didn't realize, have pledged not to, the Swedes in particular, not to go to war. It's they say we don't take sides, we don't fight wars, and yet when we asked about their joining NATO, they're very ambivalent. Most of the Swedes said, we don't know, it's too new, we don't know if it's the right thing for Sweden to join NATO, which surprised us because we thought that they would all be very excited about NATO. We see now
a lot of Ukraine flags.
there are lots of Ukraine flags that we're seeing. There's lots of, in our conversations, support for victory, whatever that, I mean, you and I and Marianne, people know that victory means that Russia has to be defeated, not a stalemate, not a peace agreement, but it's done, and Russia no longer can continue to commit crimes. But the Europeans we've met some are ambivalent, some are flying their flag saying, supporting you. So and Scandinavia is different than the Baltic states. I do realize that they're very peace driven. They don't have strong militaries. They don't want to be in wars. They don't want to be involved, but they have to be. So it's kind of a forced situation. Do you want to share anything?
Some of the Swedes were nervous about being invaded down the road.
Yeah.
And they were nervous. Some of them wanted to be in NATO because they were afraid they'd be invaded, and they wanted the help of NATO if or when that would happen.
Yeah. So that's kind of what we're seeing, but we are talking to everybody we can about.
And these people are often in small villages. It isn't that they're in a big city. Everybody we talk to knows what's going on in Ukraine, and everybody has been positive and supportive.
So that's kind of our report.
Yeah, very good. Thank you, Sal.
Thank you, Sal.
I'm just checking our time here, and I think we have just about wrapped it up. This is, I so appreciate, I think the group so appreciates you folks spending your time with us today and giving us these insights, and, you know, help motivating us to try to think of other ways that we can broaden support. Thank you so much for all that you're doing, and we're gonna be here for you, doing what we can for as long as we can.
Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you, everyone.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate that.
And
Thank you.
unfortunately, I'm afraid we'll be talking to you again next month because, as you've said, this is going to be going on for a while. But we will be here, and we'll talk to you again then. Thank you all
Thank you.
for joining today.
Thank you.
very
Have a
much.
great start of
Bye.
your week.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.